So you want to install a ceiling light, but maybe you're a little bit new to wiring or need a refresher on wiring. That's totally cool. In this video, we're going to be going over everything you need to know to make sure that you're able to actually install the ceiling light properly, all the tools you're going to need, what you can do to minimize any sort of risk of electric shock, things like that. Not to worry, it's a lot simpler than it seems, and I promise that by the end of this video, you'll have a full encompassed view of what to do to actually install this light. All right, so what you're going to need for this is going to be a couple things. You're going to need a screwdriver with a Phillips head and flathead. You're going to want to make sure that you have a voltage tester to see if the wires are live or not. You're going to want some electric tape. You're going to want electrician's pliers, which include a crimper at the end, as well as a wire stripper. And of course, the lighting fixture itself, plus the nuts that usually come with the fixture, and any screws that might come with it as well. So in this example, we have a new construction home that has a cap that contains wiring. So the first thing we're going to do is pop off that cap. So I have a little step ladder here. And basically, if you're careful here, you won't need to turn off the panel, the breaker in the panel. Don't go sticking your fingers in there, but you can kind of wiggle around and kind of move it back and forth, and it'll just kind of pop off. You hear that little pop, and then you're good to go to look at it. Just make sure that if you're installing a fan or something heavier, that it's within the weight limit of what is noted here. Luckily for me, this is a very, light light, or not heavy light, so I don't need to worry about the weight limitations here, but that's something to kind of keep in mind if you have a heavier light. All right, so the next step is crucial to make sure that you don't get any sort of electrocution or zap. So we're gonna go down to the basement to flip the circuit breaker to make sure that there's no electricity flowing to this wire. So usually on the right-hand side here, it might not be as neat as this handwriting here, but you should have indication of which breaker here correlates to which room or which area of your house. So for me, I'm gonna be looking for I believe it's called bedroom 3, and making sure that I'm able to turn that off. Here we go, so just flip them off. And now we'll go back to the room just to make sure that they actually turned off. So I see the lights are off in the room. I'm just gonna turn these off. It's not really gonna make a huge difference, I guess, but just in case someone accidentally flips that back on, it helps to lower the risk a little bit of you getting shocked. So now if I touch these wires, you can see that there's no longer any electricity flowing through them. So now these wires are safe for me to work with. So we know the power's off. We double checked it by testing it. So we're okay to put our hand in there and start pulling these wires out. It's basically connected to a giant cable, if you can see up there. And inside that cable are 4 different wires. And so we have the ground wire, which is the bare copper usually. We have the white wire, which is the neutral. And then we have the black and red, which are both hot wires. Let's take a simplified view of what we're going to be doing. So we have a light switch on the wall, and you can think of it as the second one, the switch is going to power only the red wire. The first one is going to power only the black wire. If they're in the off position, then they won't receive any power to that wire. So what happens is the actual light that we're going to be putting in only has one hot wire, which is this black wire. So we can't connect both the red and the black. We should be only connecting one in this situation. Of course, we're going to do, and this is the white wire. We're going to do white to white. We're going to do the green wire, which is also the either copper wire or the ground wire, to the copper wire here. So these will connect. These will connect. And then we're going to take this black wire that comes out of the light, and we can connect it either to the red or the black. If we connect it to the black wire, that means basically that the first panel here, the first switch, is going to be able to power the light on and off. If we connect it instead to the red wire, that means that the second switch here will turn the light on and off. This light has a bracket on it, which is going to be installed on the ceiling. So we'll go ahead and take this out and actually install this on the ceiling now. All right, so I'm going to install the bracket right now. So this has like a little plastic piece here. I'm not going to keep these screws because they provided their own screws. All right, well, I'll take that back. Those screws were not really working for me. I don't know if they were too short or what happened, but I'm just going to stick with the screws that initially came with the original bracket here. If they work, they work. So I'll have to go like this. All right, so there we go. So now this light fixture is hooked on there. And basically when I'm done, it'll kind of go up like this and I can rotate it to lock it in. All right, now comes the fun part, which is wiring. So one thing I recommend is I wouldn't recommend just putting the wires like side by side. and then putting the nut on. I actually recommend taking the wires, putting them together, and actually using this tool to kind of crimp them a little bit and twist so that way they intertwine, and it's less likely that the nut will come off. With these calipers, and then just twist. I'll just put the nut on, squeeze this, basically stuff both wires inside the nut, and then you twist it, and you really want to make sure that it's tight. It's connected to, you know, the bare wire, which is basically green, so that one is okay to go. But we're not fully done yet. Electric tape to make sure that it stays on there and that it won't fall off. You basically start near the lip of the nut and kind of just go around in circles, and that'll help to secure it on there. Make sure it's nice and tight. And then you can just pull it off like that. So now we have a good connection there, and it's not going to come off. Okay, next up is going to be the white wire. I normally do the hot wire last. So again, we'll grab that white from the light fixture and then the white from the ceiling. I'll go ahead and pop this nut off. And I can't actually see the copper wire on this wire. Let me show you, let me get you closer. So if you look at the white wire here, you can see that little end at the end is copper, but it's all covered by sheathing. So you want some of the wire to be exposed here. And since it's not, I'm gonna use my tool to go ahead and strip that a little bit so I have more wire to work with. So this tool has basically over here, these wire strippers. So I usually go like a little bit wider and then I kind of go down. So let's start at 12 gauge. I'll go down one. So you squeeze it, basically turn it, and then you pull out. That one's too loose. So we'll go to the next one down, which is 14. So let me go off the wire a little bit more, crimp it, and then pull out, and then take the sheathing away. So now you see, yeah, let me pull you in here. Now you see that the wire, the white wire, has exposed copper, and we'll use that to make the connection for the light fixture. All right, so let's go ahead and connect white to white. So let's put these together again. So I'll put the nut on there. Again, turning clockwise, using the electric tape and really making sure that it's tight around the wires will help to make it last a very long time. All right, so last wires here. As I mentioned, we're doing red to black. Okay, good solid connection. Now, okay, all the wires are hooked up and we're gonna test it in a little bit just to make sure everything's working well. But one thing you wanna do too is this black wire here. As I mentioned, this nut keeps on falling off, so I don't want that to happen while it's inside of this fixture, especially now that I'm gonna be, using it to power this. So I'm gonna actually just use electric tape on here just to kind of keep it sealed and to prevent it from popping off again or in the future. All right, I went to the basement and I flipped on the breaker, so let's see if it works, moment of truth. Okay, so it works. Okay, last step is basically just securing this to the ceiling. And that's it, there we have it. Now the light is fully hooked up and good for this room. And that's how you do it. If you have any questions about what was done today, or you want further clarification on any sort of the processes I went over, please be sure to drop it down below. Your comment can actually help other viewers who might have a similar question, and when they see it and my reply, that might help them. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.